I was thinking, how could Vespa in a year lose 34 or close to 35 million US dollars? I mean, how? How could you lose 34 million US dollars from just making one game? I could probably make a game, and I don't think I would lose $34 million. And when you look at the amount of money put into research, okay, the amount of research money was, I think, around 10 million US dollars. So still, losing 24 or 25 million dollars. I mean, when you have a company with 334 people, I think some money has gone amiss. Certainly I didn't get that money. Welcome. In the last video, we've learnt about the delisting of Vespa. We learnt about how Vespa seemed to come to us with the Summoner's War focus with regard to their game King's Raid. We learnt the major issues of King's Raid that Vespa failed to deal with. We looked at how the new CEO reacted from Vespa and his grand apology. We learnt about who Vespa blamed for their issues with delisting, the declining sales of King's Raid, the failure of their mobile games, and the payment, and saying, oh, it's all due to the payment of their small 300 workforce that they've lost so many billions. In fact, in terms of American money, that is over 30 million USD. In this video, we're going to get into a bit more, we're going to go into more details on the financials, and we're going to look at what Vespa are going to do once they get out of this issue, and then you're going to see where Shining Force is probably going to go. Enjoy! So, is capital erosion common among companies? Well, as you can see in the Korean Herald back in 2014, over 20 firms faced delisting, and that was due to capital erosion and other irregularities. So it's not just capital erosion, it is also irregularities. So more than 20 companies were to be delisted for capital erosion or illegal activities. So, including corruption. Okay, analysts here said Sunday as the deadline approached. Yes, we know. And this is common. So according to the Career Exchange, at least 22 firms, including 14 listed in the tech-heavy Kosdaq market, may be delisted. Analysts say the number may increase following the March 31st deadline for audit reports. Now, this is very interesting. The date is very important because that tells me that by March 31st, I reckon, it should be by, I think, March, it should be March 31st that we're going to find out if Vespa are kicked out. But I think last year was like March 20th or something. Anyway, I'll keep going. So JS Cable, so it goes on, some company is voluntarily seeking an exit as it has been suspended for supplying substandard cables, blah, blah, blah. So if they do something that is completely lying, completely scandalous, like, they're definitely out. So it might make you think, hey, Vespa are okay. Well, if Vespa were okay and the situation was really due to capital erosion, I think we would definitely know that by now. So I have a feeling there could be something else, and the point being is the step down of the CEO. The CEO who apparently retired, who might have actually done something else. I think having international companies outside of Korea that could lend itself, and remember those companies were all bought around 2018 when all the problems started happening. So I believe more time is needed than usual for the investigators, the market regulators, to look into Vespa. And I'm really hoping that's not the case, but from what I've seen with other Korean companies, there's so much embezzlement, there's so much going on. But still, and here you go, like, you know, here, if we look on this, like suspicion of misappropriation and embezzlement, this, and that's for the possible delisting. But I can say that still isn't enough to completely delist the company. So but if it's so I'm thinking no matter what Vespa does, I still think they could be given a grace period, okay? So unless they did something so evil that it would like tip the scales of game companies. And you must remember there's another reason, a big reason why Vespa could be delisted is because they don't really have a strong background. Their background's weak, they haven't been around a long time, they don't have many employees. It wouldn't really hurt to get rid of them, so to not finance them. The only people it could hurt would be the regulators, because the amount of money Vespa has lost is huge. So that would be the big concern, if you ask me. So my concern would be less on scandals and more on more on their poor background. Well, since the news about what happened to Vespa since the 7th of February, what has happened since? Did anything change since then? Well, let's have a look at King's Raid. Has anything happened to King's Raid? Let's have a look at the patch note on February the 8th, on Tuesday. So this is the note that the community will read in general, and GM Gregory, he's said there's been improvements being made to the reorganisation of Guild War and all the things related to King's Raid. So as for King's Raid, everything has been perfect. Everything is continuing as usual, okay? So you can see everything is wonderful. Have a great time raiding. However, what gets me is that is the last update. However, it seems that people from the King's Raid community haven't talked about another update that is not included here. On February 2022, the 11th, discontinuation notice from Vespa of live service and language support for Vietnam region. Now, finding this was actually quite difficult. I went through page by page, as you probably are aware by now from all my videos. And you know what's shocking is actually it's not even what you think. It's not when it says live service, it's not like you call them live or something. They're stopping the game. The game will no longer be available in Vietnam. Now, yeah, to you that might not mean anything, okay? But I'm afraid to say they haven't discontinued anything in the last few years. Nothing has been discontinued. Now, if you ask me, this was probably one of the first strategic points of their meeting with the market authorities. I don't think they came up with it or planned it earlier. I have reasons for that. Either way, Greetings Raiders, this is Game Master Gremory. We are deeply sorry to announce this news to the users of Vietnam who have been supporting our game from the grand launch of King's Raid. Although we have made our best efforts to provide the best service, the continuous service provision in Vietnam has become impossible. And as of March 14th, 2022, the provision of game services in Vietnam will be terminated. In-game Vietnamese language support will be discontinued after March 22nd update. Please check below details regarding the termination of the Vietnam region service. Okay, so this is the Vietnam region service termination date March the 14th. And it's gonna be cancelled in Galaxy Store and the Apple App Store from March the 14th. Google Play Store will stop from February 17th. Now, situation we're looking at here from my point of view is that if you want to cancel Google Play Store services, that will be quicker. That will actually be quicker to do. But stuff like Apple apps, stuff like the App Store from Apple, I believe you have to wait a bit longer. Generally speaking, when games update, when quick updates are needed, contacting Apple and dealing with it with Apple is generally quite a big problem. Whereas dealing with Google is actually quicker. So how much quicker is it to deal with it with Google? As you can see, it's much quicker. It's nearly they've nearly saved on a month. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. And I believe with Google, you could probably cancel things, I believe like maybe 7 days in advance or something. So my guess is that on February 10th, they made the cancellation and they submitted the request for cancellation. I'm guessing the committee came up with this on the 9th or something. How can we save money with King's Raid? And they came up with this way of saving money. And yeah, and I'm sure they put it into Google Store to do it and all the other stores. So this is how they're going to save money, and one way to save money on the game. And if you have problems, you can contact these guys. If you want to find out more information, you can probably email them. Now, the account info, the account will not be deleted. At least it won't be deleted even if it's terminated. But you can't buy anything from the app stores, and local law and the management provision, and users could still access the game by modifying VPN settings. Goodness me. Okay, you can still cheat to get in. It's all right. You can cheat. We are very sorry and regretful. King's Raid, as the service for Vietnam was unfortunately terminated. Although it is currently impossible to provide a continuous service, we will do our best to resume the service. By finding various ways, such as publishing local service in Vietnam in the future. Yeah, right. If there is any progress in this regard, we will inform you as soon as possible. So that's, in one respect, that's the good side. If they can license the game out to a company, like a gaming company in Vietnam or something, then that company can deal with it. The thing is, the point is, if a company wants to pay money to Vespa, then Vespa are glad to take the money. So Vespa are looking for any way to make up money as quick as possible. And that makes sense, because that's what the marketing authorities will need from Vespa. What does this tell me about discontinuation of live service? I missed this. What's this one? Faults on it. There should be a way to merge user accounts. There's no Vietnamese server, only Asia though. This means that the one who plays from Vietnam won't be able to access the game anymore, if I read it correctly, which would be a big deal. What? You're joking me. It's not Vietnamese server, it's an Asia server. Is that true? If that's true, that's impossible. That's impossible. Impossible. It can't be Asia server, can it? Vietnamese isn't top 10 in Asia's sales list in the past 30 days. Soon you will see Indonesia being unsupported. Indonesia is such a huge client base. And for once we can finally have a proper world chat. Oh, so some people like the idea. But they don't understand the idea is that they're not going to be combined. They're going to be forced to use a VPN. What no one seems to know is that what no one seems to know from all this is what happened to Vespa 3 days earlier about the shares. No one. Too bad. Could have just opened a representative office in Vietnam, but alas, profit. Your mum. Okay. Sorry, that's funny. How'd you like that? Don't know. That's funny. Sorry. So the point is, I'm going to stop laughing at the moment, but I'm going to say that everyone playing King's Raid, you better get ready. If you know not much money's being made on your server, then be prepared for you guys to be dropped off. And what impact does this have on Shining Force? Very simple. You're going to find out. As Vespa prepared to stream down King's Raid and make as much money out of it as possible, I want to show you something that really irritates me about their website. Take a look at the news. 2019 is the last time they updated the news. 2019. Oh. And you know what really irritates me? Look in the top left. The 2019 Web Award Korea. Finalist Award. It's like they only bothered with their website until 2019. This is ridiculous. Like, what went down? What went wrong since 2018, 2019? How did this company lose everything? What? Because their money dropped? Because their income reduced? In fact, let's have a better look at when exactly their income started reducing. Let's go into their figures.